attendance there, everybody that's in attendance here tonight, as this will be my final meeting as county manager. I'd just like to say that it's been one of the greatest honors of my life, outside of probably my salvation, marriage, the birth of your children, anything like that. Aside from those things, serving as the county manager for my home county has been the greatest honor of my life. And I was blessed. I was fortunate enough to be hired by a group of commissioners that were great leaders and great men, and glad that we have those gentlemen here with us tonight. We're glad you're with us here tonight, Mr. Bill and Mr. Tate. And you know, I was fortunate enough to work alongside a group of employees that are the most awesome. They're the most kind. They're the hardest working. Just truly the definition of what it means to be a public servant. We've done great things together. We've saved our health insurance plan. We've put into place pay studies that have helped us move forward. We have been able to move forward with capital projects. We've been able to continue investing in education. And if you look, I think it culminates with the building of the Franklin High School and the Highlands project. And I think the sum of that, of the work that we've put in, that the employees of Macon County have put in over the last decade, that I've been fortunate enough, again, to play on the team. It's enabled us to, today we're sitting about to make a $140 million capital investment, the largest capital investment in the history of Macon County, without a need to raise the tax rate. And I think that goes back to the leadership during that tenure, the leaders that sit on this board today, that have continued on, and a decade worth of leaders like you men sitting up here tonight, you men in the audience, you employees in the audience. All that's possible because that y'all were all able to work together, and we were able to work together and get it done. And it's just, I appreciate the opportunity. Macon County will forever be special to me. And all the Macon County employees, I love each and every one of you. And I can't thank you enough for everything you've given me and everything you've shown me. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each of you gentlemen up here tonight. Appreciate the confidence that you've had in me. Appreciate everything this board stands for. And I'm very excited to see what the future holds. And again, it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as county manager of Macon County. So thank you, and thank you all.
At this time, if the board members would join Mr. Rowland at the front for a resolution that Commissioner Antoine is going to share, followed by the presentation of an award.
All right. A resolution of recognition and appreciation to Derek Rowland for 11 years of outstanding public service. Whereas Derek Rowland began his career with Macon County in the planning department as a planner on March 16, 2009, serving in that role for 3 years before leaving to serve the town of Franklin. Whereas Derek returned to Macon County and served as a county manager and clerk to the Board of Commissioners from December 16, 2013 to November 1st, 2024. And whereas during Derek's tenure as county manager, Macon County's fund balance grew from $15,260,538 to an unprecedented $45,106,813. And whereas, despite the dramatic growth in the fund balance, the county continued to maintain the lowest tax rate in the state, enhanced employee pay benefits, expanded broadband services, renovated the Macon Middle School, renovated the new Nantahala Community Club and Library, approved and obtained funding to construct a new Franklin High School and expand the Highland School, to name just a few. And whereas, during Derek's tenure, the county conducted several pay studies, implemented an insurance committee to review cost-effective benefits, implemented a call center during the COVID-19 pandemic to protect the health and safety of the community, enhanced recruitment and hiring procedures, and provided support to over 600 employees throughout 26 county departments, all under Derek's leadership. And whereas, Derek has attended approximately 130 Board of Commissioner meetings and endorsed an unmeasurable amount of minutes and documents into the archives for the history of Macon County. And whereas Derek has delivered these services to the employees, board, and citizens of Macon County with the utmost care and concern, calmly listening to employee and citizen complaints, resolving differences, responding quickly to requests for assistance, and improving services where possible. And whereas Derek, with his positive attitude and kind and patient demeanor, has earned the respect of his colleagues and staff, the trust of the county residents, and the reputation of a dedicated public servant by the Board of Commissioners and Macon County. And whereas, throughout his career, Derek has led by example, mentored his staff, instilled in them the values of commitment and teamwork, and provided excellent customer service to the employees and citizens. And whereas Derek will be leaving Macon County on November 1st, 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Macon County Board of Commissioners does hereby commend Derek Rowland for his outstanding public service for the past 11 years and expresses its deepest gratitude and appreciation for his dedication to the community. Adopted this 8th day of October, 2024.
Come out here and this is what Josh and I have to think. Josh, you may have to read that, you know my eyes.
Presented to Derek Rowland, County Manager, in appreciation for 11 years of dedicated service to Macon County and its citizens, given this day, October 8th, by Macon County Board of Commissioners.
What did you get, a catch? Josh or no?
Mr. Rowland,
I don't know. He may have picked
this is
up
a
on-
special thanks to the county manager, Mr. Rowland, from the Board of Commissioners.
I know you've never seen one of these, Derek.
I use it.
But their item presented from this Board of Commissioners, I hope you cherish it, value it, and protect it with your life.
I will. Thank you again. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Owen, you need to,
Thank you.
put some stuff.
Thank you.
I get to turn and take up an offer.
want to say thank you to Tammy Keiser. She keeps all of us in line. She's been an asset during this last few weeks, more than that, but to us, she's been keeping us in the groove. Thank you, Ms. Keiser, for what you've done.
Thank you.
Chairman, before you get too far
Yes, sir.
along, I feel like I just want to say, Debbie, selfishly, whenever he first announced his resignation, a couple of us were in the room, well, the first I heard of it. I did everything I could to stop him. Tried to guilt trip him, and kind of panicked, really. But you know, it wasn't too many years ago I felt the same, pressures and the same, just that what else is out there. And he's had some wonderful opportunities. I feel like Derek is a person that he has a lot of quiet strength. And he almost always has the right answer, but a lot of times he doesn't present it unless you ask. And I feel like there's a lot of leadership in there. There's a lot of wisdom and a hard-working man right there. And I really hate to see him go, but I wish him and his family the best moving forward.
Thank you.
Miss you, Derek.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Paul?
No, I wish Derek the best. I don't know how he put up with it for 15 years. I did it for 10. I went crazy, but do appreciate it. Enjoy the opportunity to work with you and help you and your family. And I wish nothing but the best of everything for the whole plan out there. You're gonna do good.
Anything you'd like to add to your comments?
Yeah,
Wanna read that again?
it's been quite an honor. Debbie, been in my life since you were a little girl. Derek, I taught your brother. And so I didn't really get to know you really until getting on this board. And I just have to say a massive thank you to you for helping me out through learning this whole process and figuring it out. Every time I called you, you were on point, man. And Debbie, just like, Commissioner Young, when he first told me that he was leaving, I tried to put him in a headlock and say no, but I understand. And I do, to the both of you, outside of this, you have my undivided support. Anything I can do to help, I'm here. I love your family, so thank you for what you've done. You've been incredible, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Derek, we love you like a brother. That's all I say. John?
Well, Manager, it's been quite the 2 years, and there's been some differences there, but I think both of us has had everything at heart. I hate to see you go. You've done a terrific job. You've gained a lot of respect from this organization, a lot of respect from the community. I wish you and your family the best in your new outside world and your business and everything. So best of luck to you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
It calls for amen. All right. Paul Higdon, moment of silence and pledge of allegiance.
While we're praying, let's remember all the storm victims and the impending storm on Florida. Keep them, uplift every one of them in their prayers. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Higdon. Public hearing, Mr. Rodner, I don't believe we have any public hearing tonight.
Yes, Your Honor. All right. Do it every time.
And what's my sentence? Your Honor?
I think we've got, we don't have any public hearings. We've got public comment period
Okay.
next, I believe. Unless I got moved around. Did I get moved around, Tammy?
You good?
Good.
Susan Carpenter. Come right up to the front, Susan.
Thank you, gentlemen. Every library in the Fontana system has a community room, but Nantahala does not, ever since we moved from our old library to the new one, and we thank you for that one. That's a very nice library. We have a lot of programs that we'd like to implement. We have today was Linda McCowan. She teaches art to a couple of homeschoolers, but she has to use the library itself. She can't use the community center right next door, even though last night we had a community club meeting. It's ready to go. So what I'm asking for is that we have access, the library has access to that community center on a regular basis, absolutely regular, a key. We have an exercise class, probably for old farts, okay? But it's very good. It's taught us an awful lot about balance. It's helped me in a couple of falls, almost falls. But we can't do it. When the furniture, new shelves come in to that library, there's going to be no room. We have the exercise program Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We want free access to that other side of the community, to the community center. I would have other programs, perhaps, maybe basket making, but that takes an awful lot of room. I can't do it at the library, but perhaps we could do it again in the community center. You've seen some of the stuff that we had at the old library. And we've had a lot of ladies, they'd love to come in and just make a basket. They have the knowledge to do so, but we don't have the room. I would like to have free access to that other side of the building. So that's my comment to you about the library to have free access. Any questions?
Why is there such friction for you not to have access? I mean, it is a community center.
It is,
So,
but it seems like it's being run by other people, that they have control. And it should be, the library should just have the key, and as long as it's not reserved for something, like a baby shower or something like that, but that will never happen during the week. It'll happen probably on Saturdays. But we need access to that library, that side of it.
Thanks, Susan.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Gary.
Mr. Tate, you coming back up here? Or are you gonna stand up there? Jim Tate,
On my next one.
you're the next one.
All right.
You want your seat back here? where
I'm
you-
not used to this side, that's for sure. I'm here tonight to address our county manager. I was here for his very first meeting. There is no way on God's green earth I was gonna miss his last meeting. When myself, Commissioner Higdon, Ronnie Bill, Ron Haven, and Senator Corbin had many meetings in this back room back here to hire this man. I never, in my wildest dream, knowing that we were going to be his boss, and he was such a young man, and the sort of the outrageous step we were taking by hiring a 28-year-old, that this man would turn into be one of my best friends. I had so much as a much older man than him to learn from him about being a man. and I'll forever be grateful for that. When we all step through life, we want to leave it better than we found it. And without a doubt, Mr. Manager, you've done that with this county. I myself am grateful, and all the residents of this county are grateful for your tour of duty as county manager. That's what it is, and your service. So we're appreciative of that. We wish you nothing but the best moving forward, and on behalf of myself and the rest of the Tate family, anything you ever need, you reach out. You've earned my utmost respect for what you've done, what you put up with here, and how good, godly good you've done for this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo former Chairman Tate's comments on Derek Rowland. When we did, there was some apprehension hiring a young man like Derek. But after much discussion, and we said today, there was probably no better decision as a commissioner that I ever made than casting my vote to hire Derek Rowland. And I think that's been proven over time. We've had a lot of good experiences. We got a lot accomplished. And whoever was talking about Derek's leadership style, I think, Josh, you mentioned that. You're exactly right. Quiet leadership, but consistent. Always consistent. Never know which side of the fence he's on for sure. But when it come time to answer the question, Derek could. So Derek, you can be very proud of your tenure here, and we look forward to your next journey, and as that holds for you and your family. Our condolences are, of course, to Dale. We hope you don't have to hang around the house much. And right, Dale? So, but I just want to say, Derek, thank you so much on behalf of a lot of the citizens in this community that's not here tonight. They don't have a clue what the county manager job is. Some of us do, and you're most appreciative, and we thank you so much for your service and to this community, and it will not be forgotten. And I love you like a brother.
Thank you, Mr. Bill. Heather Johnson. Heather, there she is.
Hello, my name is Heather Johnson, and I'm an Otto resident. I hope that this past week and 5 days has caused the Macon County Board of Commissioners to rethink their unprecedented rush to deregulate the Macon County floodplain ordinances. We have seen at least 3 100-year floods since 2015, the flood that occurred around Christmas Eve of that year, Fred, and now Helene. This isn't even counting the catastrophic landslide caused by Francis and Ivan that occurred in the Peaks Creek community 20 years ago. All were described as once-in-a-lifetime events. I know everyone in this room saw what happened to the RV parks and homes here and in the harder hit areas. Is less regulation going to make our county more safe and resilient? Last week, I heard the mayor of Canton say that we all need to rethink and increase the resiliency of our infrastructure. He should know. Are the county commissioners going to wait for another disaster to heed this call? Are we going to let a few folks with the power who make their living off development and real estate transactions make the decisions for the rest of Macon County? I also want to challenge the county to produce their emergency management plan and make it available to the public for review. I also want to ask, has there been any requests or suggestions for increased resiliency regulations to that plan? What was the response of the planning board, the town council, and the county commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Rich? Rick Tarleton, okay.
Hey y'all, I'm Rick Tarleton. Mr. Shields already knows me, so's Danny
In a good
Antoine.
way, in a good way.
Yep. I live in Franklin and I've been in Macon County most of my life. I have deep ties to the area, being both a small business owner and a property owner here in Macon County. I have been organizing several mutual aid groups and running fundraisers and supply collections in the region for well over a decade. I'm here to talk about the county's response to the hurricane. First, I want to say I'm proud of all those who came together to accomplish great acts of kindness. For the first time in my life, I've seen people across the aisle coming together and working together to get stuff done that was needed. On day one, when the phones went out and the internet was down, I was lucky enough to have a connection at my gym that people were able to come and use. And over the next couple of days, I got to see several dozens of people come in and use my facilities. Now, I then started seeing people come together, coordinate, and get supplies out to those in need. Over the whole last week, I've seen several groups of ordinary people work together. I saw people get out, clear roads, provide aid, and move supplies across the region. I was lucky enough to be parts of the teams that went over to Asheville and dropped off supplies. I was on the runway at the local airport the other day, helping offload planes as they dropped off supplies for locals to get them out to areas in need. I've been privileged enough to work with tons of good people this last week who make Macon County a more welcoming town and Appalachia a great place to live. That all said, I would like to address an issue with the county's official response to the disaster. The word transparency gets tossed out a lot around here. I understand the wheels of bureaucracy turn slow and that this may have been a rare circumstance. But to many of us in Macon County, we would like to see a more robust and transparent process in a state of emergency. There was a lot of confusion out there. Even once communication started getting back up and running, there was a lot of people wondering when help was going to arrive, and there was not really a good official response. I would like to ask that the county please consider providing a clear plan of action that is readily available to the public. Also, consider setting up more robust measures such as shelters, because this ain't the first time that private groups and individuals had to step up and do the job. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rick. Sarah Johnson.
Hello.
You say?
Good evening. My name is Sarah Johnson. I'm from Coweta. First, I would like to offer condolences to the family and friends and co-workers of Officer Lau. I'm so sorry for your loss. Your community holds you in our hearts. I need to express my gratitude for all the first responders, the line workers, and many of the National Guard's men and women for their heroic service during this storm. Many lives were saved due to their amazing courage. Helene has been a biblical storm for our region, a once in 500, perhaps 1,000-year event, they say. The mountains went from extreme drought to catastrophic flooding in just days. I thank God that we were spared the worst of it. But it has happened here in the past. The mountain behind my house bears the scar from a slide the year my grandfather was born, in 1916. My mother saw it flood to the foot of Town Hill in the 60s. It may have been 1964, but she's not sure. I myself witnessed the 2004 storm season where we were battered by several, including Ivan. It puts what I'm about to say in a sharper light. Gentlemen, for months, the public has begged you to abandon changing the floodplain ordinance that would allow fill dirt in the flood fringe. We do not need to encourage more developing on the natural floodplain. Helene has showed us that our tranquil mountain streams and rivers can do. The reason we have more strict floodplain ordinances than the rest of the state is due to the topography. Our mountains are located perpendicular to the southeast winds, and thanks to orographic lift, they wring the clouds out like a sponge. Our rugged terrain funnels the water into the hollers and the valleys, giving us truly flash floods. We don't flood like the rest of the state. People may not realize the Little Tennessee flows north. Its floodplain is in Otto. Franklin is downstream from Otto. If we restrict the natural floodplain, the cumulative effect will be more flooding downstream, which would be Franklin. We should do all we can to avoid placing more buildings, structures, you name it, in flood-prone areas without a backup plan or an escape plan. There's caveat to what I'm saying. But you gotta be able to move what you put in that floodplain out in a hurry. If you put stuff there, if you put people's lives in there and livelihoods, you should at least, and since I'm not even talking about the 1,000-year flood mark, I'm talking about a basic 100-year mark on the flood fringe. I'm not even talking about to the scale Helene is. We need to update the maps. We should do all we can to, as advised by the county's own mitigation action plan. For every $1 spent in pre-disaster mitigation, it saves $4 in post-disaster recovery. It just takes political will. We need to update the maps and the landslides and flood hazards, and we should be focusing on securing funding for the backup power source for our emergency services building because it is located in a flood-prone area. This was already a critical high-priority issue before Helene. I believe it was deferred till 2025 or 2026, I'm not sure. It is a matter of public safety and the safety of our heroes. I pray that God gives you clarity. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Mr. Rowland, for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. Betsy Bates? Betsy?
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, really from the bottom of my heart for everything you have done.
Thank you.
I can't follow that act up. She does her homework so well, but I'm gonna say that what Sarah said, yeah. Let's pay attention to the people who put really good ordinances in place to protect our land and protect our people, and let's keep those in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. That concludes our public comment period. Mr. Rowland, before we add additions to the agenda, you need to see if anyone needs to continue with this or if Guy or...
No,
but your family there, okay, hanging in?
They're free to do what they want to do.
Mr. Shields, if it's not, I know it's out of order, but I'd like for everyone to know about how the emergency services and these people, we're all family people. We go through this storm together. We have to make sure that our families are safe. And we are taught through emergency services, safety number one. You've got to protect yourself. You can't protect yourself, you can't protect anyone else. I spent many years on Highlands Fire Department, and there wasn't one call, one fire, one disaster. It's the same. And when something like this happens, we may sit back and think, well, we could have done this a little better. Every one of these calls and these emergencies, I promise you, emergency services are learning from these disasters. And not one person in here asked for this disaster. Not one person in here asked for us to lose cell service or communications whatsoever. But I look at this county. I spent many, many days back and forth to Asheville and everything else. And you know what? We're back up and running here. Highlands is unbelievable what happened in Highlands and how well the emergency response was to that and everything else, and the same thing down here in Franklin. And so I just like to say, you have to look at these people and say, job well done for putting your life on the line for someone else.
That's right.
We all, whether you're in law enforcement, paramedics, EMS, emergency management, whatever, this is a service like no other. And I promise you these people are doing everything they possibly can to save life and save property. And, I have to ask this. We as first responders, we put our life on the line every day for people, a lot of times we've never known their life. So you have to look at yourself and say, have I ever put myself in that position? So instead of criticizing our emergency services, come in with positive information, give that positive response to the leaders, and let's build by that.
No one was criticizing emergency services. We were criticizing the emergency management plan. If you're gonna chastise us, get it right.
Let him speak. You may leave.
I can leave.
Thank you.
I'll be back next time.
Leave again. All right.
Well, actually, am I being thrown out by the police?
If you want it to be the police, I'd be glad to.
Okay,
You
are
can
you
walk on.
requesting that the cops escort me out now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then. Fuck you, John Sherrill.
Be bigger. Be
No,
bigger.
no, I'm
Be bigger.
good.
Be bigger.
I'm used to it.
Be bigger.
But anyways, I didn't say, that wasn't my response to this, is let's go to emergency management and say, hey, we missed out on this. What can we do as a community to make sure that we can do this a little different and better? But, you know, these emergency service people are my family. And I lived it, I worked with them and everything else, and so just please give them a pat on the back, they deserve it. Thank you.
Sure. The name of that lady, was it?
Heather.
That's Heather. Not be back in here, period.
Yes, sir.
When we have meetings,
She's already left, Mr. Chairman.
when you help me, when we have meetings, we don't need that kind of stuff. But she can go out in the street and do it. But in the public comment thing, I think it has to be respectful and done in a respectful manner. Profanity and stuff like that, it's not what we're about.
Yes, sir.
So if she comes back in here again, you're welcome to escort her right back out, and I'll bring it to your attention.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, sister, are you with me?
She has left.
She left.
Prior to her. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Additions to the agenda, 11C, Mr. Higdon. I've got a couple more, just 11C. Ms. Keiser, you have 11D to add to the agenda.
Yes, sir. We need to add revision and approval of the Macon County pay scale to include the county manager classification. And then I also need to add,
12I.
I need to add 12I.
NJ.
Under consent agenda, 12I will be proclamation recognizing November as National Family Literacy Month. And then 12J, under the consent agenda, will be a fireworks permit for an event on October the 19th to be held at Flat Mountain Farm, located at 1359 Flat Mountain Road in Highlands.
Any more additions to the agenda? Okay. Any more additions?
What date was that fireworks thing?
October the 19th.
Just up there today. Didn't know about that.
It's a nice place. We're at that specific place. Nice place.
See,
Did you get 11C, environmental health fee discussion? Do you need a heading for that? Or you got
Yes,
it?
yes.
You've got one?
No, I don't have one.
Brief discussion on environmental health
Okay.
fees. You got one?
Thank you.
Okay. Any more, number 8, any more adjustments to and approval, and we need approval of the agenda? Any more adjustments?
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much. I think we need to, Ms. Keiser, alert them to the 10A, since you're our HR person, that we're going to go into closed session. Is there anything else we need to add to that, or Eric?
We need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11.6 to discuss the qualifications and conditions of employment of the interim county manager.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second. Mr. Antoine? And so we'll be back in. This be a brief time, closed session thing. We'll be back in within a few minutes, but we have to do this in order to share our qualifications to the new, what we're going to recommend on the new county manager. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, so we're going to discuss the qualifications of the candidates real quick. So we need to get voted on that to go into closed session.
We did, didn't we?
No.
You had a
Motion
motion.
and second.
Okay, any motion, second, any further discussion? All in agreement? We'll be back.
You got Kenny?
No, you did not.
Mr. Tate, y'all be careful going up there.
Thank you. I'm gonna hang out a little bit longer, thank you.
Put you to work. Yes, sir. All right.
Come on, no, let's go.
Derek, why don't you come down here and mingle us with us in this down here, buddy? I think Jimmy Tate should take us up to Kentucky to kill him. Yeah, and I didn't realize, whenever Jimmy came down and did my landscape in the hill,
County never closed. About Monday, we had a 90% involvement stations on the structure.
Oh, we got our first
And I know we had guys from maintenance taking stuff
I use this as my excuse.
Yeah, it sounded
I'm sure you guys, there wasn't a Shapiro, Charlie Kerr, she's on their shows. She's in third row. I'm on the inside. She'll work on Spartanburg, Greenville County. Did you ever go in there before? We only knew he was we're still under construction. Hey, will you be for the last I messed up Saturday. I went all doors. But also God. Buying though. I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna say, hey, county didn't close. By Wednesday, you had them food distribution centers. All 90% of the inspections were done. I bet they think the same ones everybody's got a machine that makes it lit. That storm just hit the uranium. I got no hose.
I mean, I think, I know this time like this. I think they're gonna put air
She can return and she, you know.
I mean, I still remember the shot that mile with the bridge.
The first Jimmy Stutz here, the
That's what we did. You know, they'll put her under house.
Somebody else has.
But I don't, like I said, I haven't heard that. I just don't know what it's. I mean, I'm not throwing that money. I want She is very good. That's hard.
She
I'm not gonna be big day out there. I think it's underpaid anyway. I think it's underpaid anyway. Now, Derek, it will be for some things. Derek, you just thought you did nuts and bolts in here when you did that hardware.
All right.
You've fallen over.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know, hey.
Yeah, you're
No, did they really? Starting pay?
Starting pay for the I guess that's what they're based on.
Oh, yeah, they should do one.
Oh, no.
God, man.
You mentioned
I'll be there. Don't worry, I'll be there.
You know,
I helped the little lady out today.
traveling with Ronnie and Kevin, happy to have that. Pleasure, man, 3 years.
I like that. We got a lot of.
Well, I gotta give it to them.
Budget done.
When did they want it?
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, the great big guy. They just done By looking at this parole papers, he better walk his P's and Q's. That's a whole different And he showed me, he said, you do know, and he said, I was not this stuff. I'm just last year.
This right here is that
And I said, well, live in the city, you won't have that problem. I said, but if I know he's living in the out here.
But probably y'all are glad to do it. We got to kick up the cable. Why? I don't know. I think liability, it's liability reasons. That makes sense. I mean, people there, trucks. I can the football team, Ben, Alex Ben, and then Dean too. They were trying to get a new stadium. I don't know. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. I thought that was a perfect deal. And then she told me, then he went to Doug's Hill, city council, Florida. I'll say you just 2 days after. He's got a lot of experience. Well, they just butted heads. They're ready. He owns it.
But I do like
I'd say you would have done it, but anyway. Girls.
Is that going to be?
It's hopefully their decision. That's the reason he's here. Well, I wanted to just
Miss Duval was the secretary when I was in school. She was the secretary dial when I was in school.
You know, it would be great if you didn't get out.
And Marion Richardson again, that doesn't help either.
I got up that morning, got down to what we call the big bridge, I rolled the house. But I think as of tomorrow, back out. These counties for us, where's that?
This is the campground on Highlands Road. That me and Timmy were there.
So there's still some campers on there.
They left too. They refused to move.
They learned it.
I know, I had to call my, tell them, clean that disc in there. They finally did. Oh, I called you. And before you leave, get on the go back there now. It won't talk, it costs $20. Of course, I hope I never have to use it again, but I'm thinking for the next grandma, mom. So going around benches they put in there, they need cushions on them. I'll take my cushions then. I'll do it.
I'm afraid.
She said you've been having all this people sleeping in there.
Yeah. We're getting ready to show
I like that what you're doing now. Like before, we could only go one screen.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I do go there. And then he calls me because it's a lot expensive to call me from county. Oh,
really?
More. Call me from jail. And if I do a video chat at home, it costs me $9. So I can save gas by just driving down there.
We implemented a tablet. It wasn't Coffee County. We send it for inmates. If they did that, they call it they watch a movie.
Jacob got 37 different certificates. He definitely is. Because he didn't have to do the high school because of Jacob. Well, he graduated. Oh, what did Jacob That would have been 07. It's 09 or 02. Is Jacob in your role? Parker, Jacob Hunter. That's when Jacob got
Yes, ma'am. I graduated with my master's in public administration on a Saturday. My first day was county manager at my church.
Do you think that helps you, like?
Yeah. Usually it's a requirement for the job. The master's program. How do you politics dichotomy and values and don't come over here to see the manager's territory. And that's really, there is no line. And you just got to teach you how to maneuver that and do a better job. But yeah, so as far as the family gets him in there. Yes, they do. So back season at the same time. Commissioner priorities.
But I'm glad you put them on the Me and Rachel both looked at the on together, and they always think that she was me. And she said, no, I'm the better one. I said, no, I'm the better one. I'm the It was right behind me.
Salaries and benefits. And I look at those on the organization. Okay. Or our operating expenses. I look at
She goes both, she has to. Half my family does, because they don't do the research.
each one, doing that, I kind of see what's going on and get that little in-depth look. And then,
And I took it.
prioritize.
I
Look at it from 100,000 feet. What's fuel good? Like some years we think, okay, there is no fuel. So let's take the fuel number across the whole organization. And that way you can go back to the department and say, look, we're not singling you out. We're not saying that we did this across the organization. There's not an increase going on.
They teach you how to do that kind of Maybe do marching walks, but.
Don't get enough about it. It's the money coming in and moving around. As a manager, you gotta, here's the thing, you're a where's your revenues? What do they look like? And so they show you the revenues, and then all the departments bring you their expenditure. So you've got this, so we're not gonna raise the tax rate, these revenues. It's all these plans. Just say, hey, what are the priorities of this organization? Mine was always, my first thing was, any new money that you generate, I always try to keep operating expenses. Capital is what it is.
What's his name, David? I'm not a big fan of
Each year we know, hey, we got to spend $600,000 on vehicles. But that's always blocked out. So that's set aside. So now you're in operations of salary. So we'll say, right out of the gate, no employees. So there you go. You're saving up there. So any new money you got coming in, if you keep those operating expenses flat, all that new money goes to salary. Because at the end of the day, especially these last 34 years, that's been one of the main things. You have to keep people. And like, just like they're talking about right now, is that's already, Swearing County is already the pay studies. Another county. So for the foreseeable future, it's going to be that same thing. And you know, people say, yeah, we got a huge organization, and so it's always big news, so it's just a way. And then at the end of the day, so nobody, and I learned this the hard way. And you get up and do a presentation, it's not the time for you to get up and tell everybody everything you know. Nobody knows. What you gotta do is you gotta get up and make your, you gotta get the free thing. You gotta take out your group points. So for instance, last year, mine was $150 million in capital improvements, no tax increase. Rest of operations flat. And then, so you just hit those highlights. So it's just, it's feeling good.
More questions?
Hey,
Ask you at some point? Okay.
All my goodies.
Yeah, you'll have
Debbie.
You have to have a second on that, just open back up. Raise your finger. this time, we'll reconvene this meeting, October the 8th. Mr. Rodnow?
Okay, so we're coming out of closed session. I think the board is considering entertaining a motion to appoint Mr. Warren Cave as the interim county manager. That would be from effective November 1 through June 30th. And that would be at the rate of $154,526.45 annual salary plus $500 per month car allowance.
That's a motion I support. Make it. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in agreement? 5-0.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
if I could just say one word. You know, I said today, earlier at my thing, there was, everybody was in there, and there is truly too many people for me to thank for everything, but I do feel like it's appropriate at this time just to, Warren, I just want to thank you for the example that you've set for me, and you know, we've talked about all the great things that we've been able to accomplish, and you were always front and center in all those things. And your leadership, especially through COVID-19, most recently, just every time whenever the proverbial you know what's hit the fan, you've always been a steady hand, and you've always done it with confidence, you've always done it with grace, and I just want to say that I'm so happy that you're getting appointed as interim, and that there's nobody that I could have hand selected that would have been any better fit in my opinion. So I want to thank you for everything you've shown me, and I wish you the best of luck.
I want to express my appreciation to the board for that vote of confidence. And Derek, publicly, I want to say to you, you've been a good example to me. I've learned as much from you as you may think you've learned from me. Those are some big shoes that I have to fill, and I appreciate the confidence of all of you for me to at least make an honest attempt at that. And I will do my best to make sure that we keep going the direction we're going, and we keep following the same process we're following, and we follow the direction that you started and that this board wants to follow, and we'll do our best to make sure we get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Cave? I want to say publicly, I've talked to the commissioners in the room there. Appreciate you involving me last week in your arena every day, you and Mr. Teams. I just want to say I felt comfortable every day when you met with your team. You seem to be, and I have a rapport with your team members that they'd follow you to hell and back. That's the term there. And I just want to say thanks for including me, Mr. Rowland, Mr. Teams, let the chauffeur sit around a little bit to see things, but your meetings were well conducted, and I say thank you.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, let me address the board as well. Obviously, I'm going to do an update on our response here later on the agenda. But obviously, we can all learn things, and I will acknowledge that there's always room for us to improve, and we're open to that dialogue to folks to meet the needs of what they're looking for. We may not always be able to explain it clearly. We tend to have a method for what we do, but we're also open when we need to improve, we will. So we're certainly open for that, and I think I've had 2 of these once-in-a-lifetime experiences, so I hope I don't have any more of them. But we're certainly open to that, and we will do our best, and that agency will continue to do their best to serve the people of Macon County the best of their ability.
Let me just say one other piece. I'm going to say, pick him out because he's over at Chris Stahl. He took us through a learning process, and he also took us through a learning process that had options in it, and he conducted himself in a good manner, but also he made a situation even better as far as people coming in with debris and people leaving. And so, Mr. Stahl, appreciate the time that you put in about the tipping fee and meeting with Warren and I and sharing your thoughts about that. And just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Commissioner Sherrill on Peach Creek.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, Tammy and I talked back and forth a little bit about the Pine Grove School, and I told her I would speak with Mr. and Ms. Holland about this, and back and forth via text messages with Mr. Holland. It's my understanding that they had actually been talking to the manager and Commissioner Young, and so at that time I told Mr. Holland that there's no need in backtracking on the discussions, and so at this time I would like to just turn it over to the county manager and Commissioner Young as to what the discussions are, because they have not communicated with me at all.
That land.
So, Mr. Sherrill, it's been a few months since the board was addressed by a member of Cullisage, well, several members of the Cullisage community, and they shared testimonies of how they had all contributed to the building and their ancestors had as well. At that point in time, I feel like they were given direction by this board to pursue a nonprofit 104c3. I think we allocated them a period of months to pursue that with the state, and then they were going to come back to us. We've had brief conversations. I think Ms. Holland has reached out to me once, maybe twice in the interim, and just kind of shared, you know, just an update that she's been actively pursuing that. And really, I really don't have any more options or updates to bring you, but I feel like she has been updated with us. I'm sorry, updating us about registering with the state as a nonprofit to give that building back to the community that built it. That's all I know.
And likewise, oh, wow. Thank God. Likewise, that's the communication I've had with Ms. Holland. Now, I did have some additional communication recently. It was right in the middle of, right before the flooding with the Board of Elections, because that is a polling place and it is coming up on election. There are some maintenance issues that the elections director has brought to my attention that I'm going to have our maintenance go out there and take a look at before that election. That is the immediate terms of any discussions I've had about that building. But as far as I know, they are actively pursuing the 501c3, and we are, you know, they do have a questions, you know, if there are some needed improvements made to the building, one thing we have to consider is the county going to make these improvements? Or are we going to expect the 501c3 to make the improvements? So there's some questions like that, I think, that linger, that as we get past the election and any immediate issues that render that we need to look at so we can hold the polling place there, I think we need to address that, and we'll of course have to address those. But I think after that, after we get through that election, I think it's going to need to be those discussions, and I think that'll need to involve that group and the board as a whole.
You okay?
Yep.
You okay? He said to move to after the election, want to move it into January 25?
Right, and just invite that group back in to tell us where they are, and maybe by that time the maintenance department will have time to check on the needs up there and see where we go to.
You good with that?
Yes, sir.
No.
But I would really like for that building to stay in the community for community purposes. I agree. I think
Is this November discussion or is this a January
This will be a
discussion?
January discussion.
January 25 discussion for the agenda regarding this. Yes. Thanks, Phil. Finance Director Lori Carpenter. Then you've got an announcement about our LS3P person.
I'm taking one of those and passing it down. So, Derek, feel free to jump in here too. So, as you know, for the Franklin High School Stadium project, the Board of Commissioners has been funding like schematic design, design development, construction documents, and bidding, as we've proceeded through the process. So now, of course, we've borrowed money. We have the $62 million grant. So LS3P, it's time to approve their construction phase and project closeout phases. And also the contract call for once we got a final guaranteed maximum price, or GMP, that we would do a reconciliation based on that actual GMP. So LS3P had submitted some documents a couple of weeks ago. I didn't have time to review them until the Saturday after the hurricane or tropical storm come through. And of course, I emailed my response back to them, but they're in Asheville, so that's why they're not here tonight. They don't have water. They're working out of Charleston, another office, so that's why they're not here tonight. But I say all that to say, they had one fee, I had another fee. Derek and I had a call with them today. This was the first opportunity we had to chat with them. And we came to, a decision and a negotiation, I guess you could say. So that's what's been handed out here tonight, is we need an action to approve amendments to the LS3P contracts for Franklin High and the stadium in the amount of $4,231,491. And this amount was budgeted, earmarked as part of the loan proceeds and grant. And again, it's just budgeting these last phases and doing the true up or reconciliation according to the contract.
Any discussion from the commissioners or?
All right, motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Hey, now, is this close them out, LS3P, since it goes over to construction manager?
Yeah, this will be their final adjustment to fees. There will be no more fee adjustments for LS3P. Now, we may be coming back next month for, I can't recall the topic, building commissioner maybe. And they may add it onto their contract as just a pass-through. They won't make profit off of it, but that saves us from putting it out to bid. That may come before you, but as far as money that LS3P will be paid based on this project for Franklin High and the stadium, this will be the last adjustment to their contracts.
And that total is the actual,
Pardon?
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying that, I was just clarifying when you said that total, that does not include the Highlands project.
Highlands is a separate agenda item.
Yeah,
Franklin.
I just making sure that was.
Yeah, this is Franklin High and stadium only.
$4,761,000.
$4,231,491.
Yeah, look right down here.
And again, that amount's budgeted.
Yes, that amount is budgeted and accounted for as part of the loan and the grant.
Let's see, we've done everything.
Had a motion and a second, I believe, so we need to vote.
Any further discussion?
Close it out.
Close it up.
All in agreement? Vote.
Okay, and the next one is more straightforward. It's for the Highlands Pre-K / middle school project. Again, for that project, just like the Franklin High, the board has been approving the phases as we've went along. So this would incorporate the final phases for the Highlands Pre-K / middle school project, which will be the construction phase and the project closeout phase. That amount is $112,240. So I would need two actions here, please. Approve the amendment to the LS3P contract at the amount of $112,240 and also approve budget amendment number 85, which does appropriate these funds.
This,
This is an amended amount, 112,240.
Yes, sir, and then budget amendment number 85. Those were both in your package, in the packet.
okay, we got, the board will need to make a motion to approve the amendment,
Yes,
And
in the
that
amount of
was the-
112,240,
112 to,
Motion to approve. 112,240.
and the budget amendment number 85.
Second.
all in one?
One.
Okay,
Motion's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Had a second on that? Okay.
Do you have a total on architectural fees for that project?
Total on Highlands Pre-K, I believe it was $329,255, it's in the packet.
It's what's on here, what numbers you just said.
$329,255 and $10,000 of reimbursables, so it's $339,255. Then there's a very small set of fees, I don't have those in front of me, but I think it was $45,901 maybe, $45,901, because we started these projects separately. We had the middle school renovations, which we're not asking for any more money tonight on just the renovations. That was, I believe, $45,901 architect fees. But this is the actual pre-K middle school edition. So yeah, $339,255 is total fees and reimbursables. And again, you all have been appropriating as we go, so the remainder to be appropriated was the 112,240.
Jack Morgan, you have any question? We had a second, and we've discussed it, all in agreement?
Opposed?
All opposed? I'm not putting my hand up. Okay.
Just to
Warren?
clarify, did your motion, Josh, include the amendment to the LS3P contract plus the budget at 85? Okay.
I think I'll put it all in one.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Morgan, you need to have the information on this, or you have it?
I'll get it.
Okay. Mr. Warren Cave, we're back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I wanted to update the board on the effects of Hurricane Helene and the things that happened in Macon County over the course of several days. Obviously, Macon County as a whole was spared a lot of damage that a lot of our neighbors to the east had. And we had pockets of some severe damage. I don't want to downplay any of that by saying that none of this is significant, but I'm going to tell you some numbers in a minute that for these folks, this was a significant event. But in the scope of things, Macon County fared really well compared to the condition that some of our neighbors are in. They don't have all their power back, they don't have their utilities back, they are not functioning at all on a normal basis. Rainfall in Macon County was anywhere from about 10 or a little bit over 10 inches in the Franklin area to about 14 to almost 15 inches in the Highlands area. And to give you a little perspective on that, the numbers, the official numbers that are out, now these are going to vary because every neighborhood's going to get a different rainfall, and it may be higher or lower in different places, but compare those numbers, we were 10 and roughly 14 to 15 here. Asheville was right around the 14 to 15 inch mark, which was very, very similar to the amount that we got in Highlands. Hendersonville was right around the 19 inch mark, so there's only about a 4-inch difference between the amount of rainfall we had in Highlands and what they had in Henderson County. But the damage and the effects are way different. And I'm not a meteorologist. We were in what was classified as a severe drought, which meant we were about 3.5 inches or so of rainfall below normal. And we felt going into this, and I think this was kind of proven, we had more holding space for that water than some of these other counties did, which is why our flooding wasn't quite as widespread as some of these other counties. Wind damage did a lot of what our caused a lot of what our damages were is was the wind, and those are around 50-mile-per-hour gusts somewhere in that neighborhood. Typically, those are in highlands. You heard some talk about the Blue Ridge Escarpment. Highlands tends to get those, and that Blue Ridge Escarpment, the winds are worse there because you have that first elevation change, and those fronts drop the wind there and the rainfall there. And unfortunately, that's what happened. As far as damage, we had a total of 57 structures damaged. 2 of those are what we would determine to be uninhabitable, which is the most severe damage that we have. 24 are going to require extensive repairs, and those are the ones that the house fell through the tree, or the foundation's pretty much damaged beyond repair, but can be fixed. They're on the verge of almost not fixable, but yet they're not quite there. So that's what we're talking about with extensive repairs. We had 28 that we've looked at that require some repair. And that may be something as minor as a tree on the roof, may have knocked part of the gutters off, or may have had some sort of damage. And then we had 3 that what we classify as minor. You may have a tree down in the yard, or it may have taken the mailbox out, or it may have been something really, really minor. So far, we've had a total of 57 that we've looked at. That we've ranked the damage on. We haven't put a dollar figure with that because right now it's really hard to estimate repair costs and construction costs to some of those structures. So we've been very hesitant to actually apply a dollar figure to that. We think there'll be more because we think particularly in Highlands, you have a lot of second homes, you have a lot of remote homes. Some folks may not have even checked their locations yet. Up until last Friday, some of those roads weren't even passable to get in. Some of those driveways are probably still not passable. So we think that number will rise as people self-report and we find more damages along the way. The very first day this event happened on a Thursday night and a Friday, I think it was Monday morning, there were 15 permit requests for service entrance repairs. So that gave us a very quick indication on what we were looking at. Unfortunately, we did have 1 loss of life, and that's very unfortunate in Macon County, and it was actually a Macon County employee, which is a truly unfortunate event for us to have to go through. We were fortunate that there were no other injuries. It was a rather severe event for the rescuers. There were at least nine water rescues that we know of where crews actually had to enter those places, go through the water, boats, PFDs, check on folks, get folks out, move them somewhere else to safer ground. And that's a big number. 9 doesn't sound like a lot, but for us, within a period of a couple hours, that's a lot for us. We actually housed 6 adults and 4 children in the event that were displaced. We put those up in either motel rooms or hotel rooms or some type of other lodging. Downtown Door actually opened 2 nights. They typically serve their population there. One night they served 19 folks, housed 19 folks there, and one night they housed 12 folks there for a total of 31. And I can't say enough about those folks. I bragged on them in a meeting the other day. We always talk about agencies that we as the county or the municipalities contribute a little to, and we get a lot back. That's a really good program, and they serve a really endangered population there, and they make sure those folks are taken care of. So I can't say enough about those folks. A lot of folks talk about shelters, and I'll do a little explaining about shelters. We tend to house folks in hotel rooms first, if at all possible, because from an economic standpoint, it's actually more economically feasible for us to put them in a hotel room that already is set up to house folks than it is for us to stand up a shelter, up until the point we get about 10 or 12 folks that we have to put somewhere, sometimes more. The reason being, we tend to tie up our school systems because we usually use the school buildings for our shelters. If we set, for instance, a school up as a shelter, we pretty well take school out of the equation the next day, so the school system can't have school. We pull a lot of our staff in. We'll staff it with health department staff, DSS staff. We'll pull a lot of people out of their normal job functions. And we can do that, but we also have to realize that impacts the normal service that they provide. The the clients at the health department, the health clinic, the services that folks get through DSS, they're going to be hampered for the next couple of days when we're pulling those staff away. A lot of folks think the Red Cross will come in and operate the shelter. They can do that in some locations, but in reality, we're going to get probably one person as a representative. And the burden of operating that will fall on the local groups and the folks here. Now, can we do better with that? I will address, honestly, I will address the comments that were here. There are probably ways that we can do better. As the population changes, as the needs change, we will certainly adjust those processes and try to meet the needs of those folks the best way we can, most economically feasible way that we can, in a way that benefits the most people. So we are certainly open after this process, and we'll do it with this event just as we do any other event. We'll go back and review the processes, what went right, what went wrong. We're not perfect. We all are going to make mistakes, and learn from those and work to do better the next time. After the event, and while we're surveying the damage, we also had 6 slope movements. All of those slope movements were looked at, reviewed, and none of them caused any structural damage. Some of them caused some road damage. We did have one, I won't call it a failure, with a dam of a small pond, but it was damaged severely, but the impacts were very minimal and there was no danger to anybody downstream. We actually were contacted by the dam safety folks from North Carolina a couple days before for us to go out and look at their inventory of high hazard dams. They contacted everybody that had a high hazard dam, and the ones they couldn't contact, they called us and said, can you please go check on these folks? So we actually looked at those a couple days before. As of today, we're still feeling the effects. As of this morning, we still had about 200 power outages in Macon County. And it's been well over a week. I think we're in the 12th day, and we still have power outages, which 200's a lot, but it's still not as bad as some of these counties that have thousands of people without electricity. So we're still doing well. If you're one of those 200 people, you're probably not feeling it tonight. But we're still doing well compared to a lot of folks. At the height of this event on Friday, there were about 10,000 Duke and Haywood EMC customers without power. And then pretty much all of the customers for the town of Highlands, which is about 3,300, were out of power. So we were sitting somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 14,000 power outages on Friday. And that recovered pretty rapidly. We could see on those numbers, these utility crews would come in, and for most situations, we would cut those outages, or they would cut those outages in half almost every day. We'd go from 8,000 to 4,000, and they would trickle their way down to the hard cases and get the last ones at the very end there. Now we would be in what you call recovery mode. There's a lot of things to come. We do have a distribution center open that the county's operating. That's also going to be a clearinghouse. There's probably going to be some programs that are going to come up through DSS. I dare to mention it, but probably a DSNAP program that will come through, a disaster SNAP program to come through that we'll be working with the state with. There are going to be other programs coming through. Legislature's going to be in session. They're going to work on some programs, I'm sure. I'm familiar with stuff from Ivan. There will probably be elevation programs. There will probably be relocation programs. There's probably going to be some crisis housing programs, depending on what they think their needs are. But we're not going to know that until those are funded at the state level. But what we will do is we'll work to gather all the information on those programs, put it in a central location so folks can come to one place. And traditionally what we do is you apply at one place, and we put the application into the hands of folks that do the stuff. For instance, our unmet needs committee, we pulled a bunch of folks together, and Tammy, I'd be afraid to even mention the list. We had governmental agencies, our health and human service groups, we had private groups, we had folks like the Red Cross, we had folks like CareNet. We put all those people together. And what happens is when you have a need, we point that need to the right group or the right agency. Baptist Men, they were talking to us before the event, and the day of the event, right after, they were already out helping folks. So the coordination of all those groups, private, public, whomever is a big thing that we have to keep doing for the next, I'll say months. I would almost dare say years. I think this will be a multi-year recovery for a lot of places. In some ways for us, just not on the level that some of these other counties are going to have, but it's going to be a long road. Everybody talks about a marathon. A recovery is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So that's probably what you're going to see. We met with our FEMA representative. FEMA has a representative assigned to Macon County. They're going to start bringing the FEMA folks in. They'll have a team of folks. They've already met with us. They went to Highlands and met with Josh Ward and Patrick Taylor up there with the town of Highlands. They're going to start the process. They'll open what's called disaster recovery centers. They'll have a couple of days or a week somewhere, probably in our distribution center. We're going to have some days in Highlands where folks can actually meet them face to face and work with the federal side of the benefits for those folks. So that will come when their staff come in and we can work that into the process.
When are they supposed to be here?
The original, I guess you call their leader, was here Monday, and her staff should start filtering in any moment. We got to meet with her at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'll know more of an update in the morning. She's already went out and looked at sites. She went to the damaged areas. She started making her process to see how many of those folks she needs to bring in and what processes. So after 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll be able to give you a whole lot more information on that. Our distribution site, you wouldn't think it if you look at Macon County. We've distributed almost 150 pallets of food since the event began. Not boxes, pallets. We've distributed almost 30 pallets of water. Not bottles, not boxes, but pallets of water. Those have went to people that needed them here. Those have went, if we've had groups that are trying to do relief efforts somewhere else, we've helped supply them. We had some utility workers that were doing some remote work, so we made sure they were taken care of. So we've tried to serve a lot of different folks with that to meet the needs of them. Communications were an issue after the event. Everybody knows cell phones, landlines, a whole lot of things didn't work. Businesses couldn't conduct business. They couldn't do electronic payments. A lot of people don't have cash anymore to use. So that was an issue for a lot of folks. We saw a run on our fuel system. Part of that was because there's a lot of folks that couldn't get fuel in other places, and we started seeing some shortages here because folks were coming here to buy fuel or getting fuel here before they went to these locations. Part of it's tied to communications. Some of those companies couldn't order fuel because most of your ordering is electronic, and if you don't have internet or some kind of an access, they couldn't order fuel. We managed to get through that. We've stabilized on that. 911. I will say that honestly, we thought we had lost 911 for a few minutes, but we did not. What had actually happened, we have a geographically diverse fiber system that feeds our 911 center. We have a line that comes in from one end of the world, and we have another fiber line that comes in from another end of the world, and they should never be affected at the same time. In this event, we don't know the root cause yet because AT&T, who's our provider, is still trying to tell us all the information. They were both affected in some way, and the effects not only affected Macon County, but all the surrounding counties in western North Carolina. The system worked, and I'll tell you what I tell some of my staff. I tried to be mad at the system. I wanted to go back to the world of copper because the copper went across the street, and then our stuff came very close to us. That would have been okay in this situation because if the copper wasn't affected, I would still have 911 service. However, if it had affected our copper, we would have been dead in the water with no 911 service whatsoever. The system did what it was supposed to. It took the 911 calls, it sent them to a center that could answer, and they had a method to get the information back to us. So inconvenient, a little bit, yes. Not straight to us, yes. But the system self-healed itself almost immediately. And in reality, there was no loss of 911 service. We were concerned because we stopped ringing, and then we realized that the system was starting to send them somewhere else, and we recovered back and worked off that for several days. So in reality, the system, I'm not one to stand here sometime and tell you that the state's programs are the greatest in the world. I will have to tell you that in this case, this one worked.
Was that Guilford County?
Our calls went to Guilford County. Well, you would call 911 or text 911 and you could get Guilford County and they would transfer the information back to us.
How they transfer it back?
We had radio communications with them, and then very shortly after that, we managed to get a 7-digit telephone line back up. So one of the things that worked was our Viper radio system, and if you had asked me to stand here in 2010-ish, I would have told you that we would have probably never needed to do that. But in this particular case, the system worked. I can pick up the radio and call Guilford County, just like they're sitting next door to me. I'll tell you how busy it was, and I can't say enough for my staff, for those 911 telecommunicators, that they were working 12 on, 12 off. There was no in between. Our EMS staff, our volunteer fire folks that were out there, they did a lot of stuff in a short period of time. For fire, we have a dispatch channel that they get their information on. We have 5 tactical channels. We will assign you to a tactical channel. Your events on this tactical channel, your events on this tactical channel, your events on this tactical channel. There were numerous times throughout that day that we ran out of options. We'd go TAC 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'd have another one and we'd roll the next event over to the dispatch channel. We would have never been able to effectively communicate folks if we had only had one channel for them to talk on our legacy system. So I'll have to say that even though we taxed that system, it wasn't perfect because we tried every way in the world to break it. It still survived and we managed as well as I think we could have with that. Couple of things, I talked about the progress to come. We'll know more from the legislature when they have those programs. So once we get that information, we'll get that out to folks. And again, I want to address the public in general. We'll learn from the things that we got out of this. We learned from stuff from Ivan. We learned from stuff from COVID. We've learned from every event that we've had. So we will learn from that and do the best that we can for folks the next time that something happens. And honestly, sometimes it takes bad things to bring a community together. And if there's one good example, and I'll agree with the gentleman that spoke in public session, one of the great things out of this is to see your community groups, your church groups, your individuals. When things go bad, Western North Carolina and the people that live here will step up to fix things. And no matter whether we agree, whether we disagree, it doesn't matter. When the time comes to fix it, we'll all go together to fix it. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gay, for what you've done.
Thanks.
Thank you, Warren.
Jimmy, appreciate you, Jim. Chris, appreciate you. Yeah, let's see. Brother Jack Morgan.
Back in the 80s, Macon County paid for a sewer line down 441 South for the town. We crossed several pieces of property on the way. The county made promises to those people for the access and the easement, that they would provide them with the water tap and the sewer tap. Most of those have been taken care of a long time ago. We've got a piece of property on the corner of Prentice Road that it was not. And some people have bought that property now and they want to put a double wide there and they want the county to hold up their end of the bargain. So that's what I'm here for. The sewer line is high pressure. We can't tap it. The answer for that is a septic system, on-site septic system. We have looked with Mr. Chaz Allen. There is potential for an on-site system there. And the town has agreed to do the water tap for the tune of $3,400.
How much?
$3,400 for the town's tap. That's $2,400 for cost and $1,000 in accessories. Our sewer system, we project the septic tank will cost, the septic system, we're gonna have to have a pump, will cost in the neighborhood of $15,000. Yes, this is the attorney. So I guess that's what I need is your permission
and authorization to proceed with this and spend that money on this guy's water and sewer.
So Jack, just for clarification, that $15,000 is assuming that the soil conditions allow for it in that location, right? I mean, we know
Yes.
it's a low area.
It's a low
That's-
area.
That's causing a little bit larger system.
Yes.
Provided we can put it where we expect to, that's going to be the cost.
Yes, there's some very poor soils down there. It's, if you're not familiar with it, if you turn off 441 South to Prentice, it's the first lot, and it's down in the hole. There's a little creek goes right by it, so. it's
Is there
pretty-
any kind of statute limitations on this? Is time going to run out?
You have to ask the attorney that one.
That was the deal to, that was the consideration given at the time the easement was granted for us to run it in the first place. So the agreement was done at that time. They just haven't asked for it yet. I mean, so I don't think that the problem and the cost is that apparently we can't tap into, according to Amy and the expert engineers that looked at it, is in that location, we can't tap into the sewer at that place.
Correct.
I don't understand.
Jack, what about the new sewer line on Prince Bridge Road?
I don't know about that one. That goes out to that new division out there. I couldn't tell you about that.
I remember when they stood up here and asked for it, I asked about capacity, and they assured us there'd be capacity on that line, but
I don't know if it's pressure or not, though.
I don't know either.
It'd be pressure unless there's a gravity line by it, but, you know, our agreement with that property owner, Bill Talbot owned the property then, I think, was we provide them a tap. Wasn't about hooking them up, it just provide them a tap and pay the town $3,500. It's not our fault that they can't, I mean, those other businesses down there have tapped into, and you've been around long enough to where we've tapped into pressure sewer lines, but,
That's what they tell me we can't.
And you know, this isn't on this sewer, this isn't the first. You know, we had the Buddy Pulliam property down on Main Street. We did the same thing, except it was to do with his parking lot. And it was just when this line was being put in, these agreements were made. And we've ran into a few instances, that being one of them, this being another one, that there was just, our end of the obligation didn't get fulfilled.
Wasn't requested till then.
and I'm like, Josh, you gotta,
What's
the way to do it?
Well, I would prefer to discuss, if we were to go back, I hate to give all that comments out in public comment. I guess that's what I'm saying. If we're gonna, if you guys are thinking about that avenue, I would prefer to discuss that in closed session. And we can go into closed session later and maybe at the end of the meeting, whatever you all want to do. But we need Jack, 'cause
I feel like if we made a
sorry, Jack.
We made a deal with the individual to run the line. We made a deal to run the line and promised them tap, I feel like. We made a deal with them. Like I honored that. But we'll discuss further in closed session.
Is that verbal or in print?
It's on the deed.
I've seen letters that were written by two prior county managers, one in 1993 and one in 1989.
the pressure sewer line, that's a joint agreement in between the town and the county to provide that tap.
This was
between the county and the property owner, because at that time, the county was the one that was going through and getting the easements, because it was the county's project.
And then that easement was turned over to the town, so they could run the system since the county doesn't have one.
Yeah, the county paid for it, from my
Yeah.
understanding, and the town was agreed to take it over.
And there was, I guess, at the time, an economic development issue to expand businesses down to 441.
I'm willing to see what our legal counsel says in closed session. And,
So,
we'll come back.
are you looking for consensus or action?
Well,
We'll come back to
we can, and
14.
we can report it back to Jack tomorrow, so they didn't have to wait around unless we need him in closed session. Jack, what,
You know the situation, you tell me.
if you don't mind, then hopefully we won't be long. If you could wait around and go into closed session, that's
Give me separate. Okay, Mr. Higdon, 11C.
Real quick, this is in addition to the agenda, and we talked here, I've talked about it for 12 years, about environmental health fees. We got 3 employees from environmental health. And they got you got the Board of Health and you got the Board of Commissioners. Board of Health meets every 2 months. We meet every month. It's hard to coordinate all of these things. And Kathy and I and Lisa and Chad sat down yesterday. And I presented last month, I think briefly to the board just for consideration, and that's where I'm at tonight, is that the 12 years I've been on this board, we've done, we take in excess money every year and put it into our fund balance, as was alluded to earlier. And during the year, we dole that money out. And other than, I can remember 2 things we've done in the private sector where we've used public funds, and that was one was Brasstown Beef, and I think one was over at the tubular plant. But we use that money during the year to supplement government buildings, government maintenance, government operations, and that's the purpose of this agency. But there are people who, with plenty of money in the fund balance, I would make a suggestion that we waive the environmental health fees to people who are willing to invest directly into the budget economy of Macon County, i.e. building a house, commercial, industrial, tiny home, whatever. Just say, hey, if you're going to build a house in Macon County, we hear about shortage of housing cost, construction cost on the presidential debates and state issues, but locally we have an opportunity to do something here, just to tip our hat to people who are willing to invest in Macon County. Say, hey, we're going to help you out a little bit. It's not a lot. Your total revenue, environmental health fees, everything's $250 to $300 a year.
The fees, yes.
In fees. We spend that in one night here for various functions. So over the course of a year, and for those of you, and you and I have talked about this, you've been in the public sector all your life. I was in it briefly. I'm in the private sector. The value of a new home or a new business building in Macon County has a ripple effect, from Josh Young doing the grading, me doing the septic system, the labor market to build that house, building inspections, insurance companies, and then when it's completed, the boost to our permanent tax base is phenomenal. So I'm not looking for action from the board. I just want, and you guys want to talk to me about it, I'll be glad to share it with you in the next month, bring back a proposal. I want to have another conversation with Kathy about it. I've not discussed this with the Board of Health. We did approve your clinical fee schedule, which carries you through, and you're operating under the old environmental health fees. So any of the board members that would like to meet with me personally, just let, and then we come in the next month, and let's either yay or nay. I brought up some ideas in 12 years I've been here, and we've had to throw them in the corner. I'm good with doing it to this too. But before I leave the board, I want to have an opportunity to thank those people that invest in Macon County. And our biggest economy here is construction, whether we like it or not, of tourism. And now, a year ago, one of the things that the realtors brought to me, or to us, was scanning old environmental health fees. We met, what, a year and a half ago?
Yes, probably.
And I thought it was
Maybe
taken
even
care
two.
of.
Yeah.
Because a lot of your departments, your staff, which are short-staffed in environmental health,
Correct.
they're chasing old documents. They're looking through files. I mean, gee whiz, how archaic is that? And we're so close to getting that program going, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, but I've worked personally with Joe Allen, who was here, and Andy Muncie and, you know, Amanda and our IT to try to get our files scanned and uploaded so we can research, that the public can research them online, which would save a tremendous amount of time and staff workload for us that we need so desperately. And, you know, at this point, it's in IT's hands. You know, I don't have the knowledge about the IT part of that to know what the hangup is, you know, with moving forward. I have researched another business that's willing to do scanning and just trying to get the images in the proper format for our current system is part of the issue. So, you know, I'd have to talk with Andy or Amanda would have to address that. And
You know, poor thing,
We have been looking into that, and I think it's actually in this budget cycle, we have budgeted to look at building inspection software. And as part of that, we're going to incorporate kind of more of a marriage between the building inspections, environmental health office, and tie that back into the GIS system. That is going to take some, like you say, Paul, there's a lot of paper files over there. I mean, all those files are paper, and I think the first thing we've recognized that's going to come out of that is having to scan these files in and get it into something that can be accessible. So I know that we are in the process. We did a major Munis upgrade that is still ongoing, but I think the next priority, because as Kathy mentioned, IT has to be heavily involved in that process. And I know that the first of the year, beginning on the first of the year, we hope to have the Munis where we need it to be. And I know that is the very next priority on the list that's going to be looked at. But getting back to the Munis thing, it's crucial that had to be the top priority at the beginning of the budget year, because that is the backbone. That's our financial software. That's everything. And these are major upgrades that are involving many departments and heavily involved IT. And so once we get that process concluded, we're going to start with the upgrades. So we have discussed that, and it is incorporated into the budget.
if we find potentially some outside businesses that can handle that.
Right, and Kathy brings another good point up, with the turnover that we've had. It's been, we've had some people working on it, and they've stepped out, and so it's kind of been in and out. But, we look to, once we're able to narrow and get everybody involved in this thing, we should be able to knock it out.
It's difficult when you have the turnover and, a limited capacity of our IT department. They're doing everything they can to with all the demands that the county has on them, to prioritize these projects, because it takes a lot.
To physically scan, your staff doesn't need to be doing that, in my opinion.
No, we weren't thinking that way.
Are you going to sub that out?
Yes, yeah. That's what the conversations have been finding a way to sub that out to.
Gosh, it's such a load on you, and the realtors are still complaining.
I know.
I thought we were taking care of this 2 years ago.
I know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
And it takes your front desk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all she does, isn't it?
Well, she takes in applications. Actually, it's the other staff that are focused on the research, because to free her up so that she can process the applications in and keep the permitting going. So, you've got the research side of it, and then you've got the actual application and permitting side of it too. So, she can't do that if she's focused on research all the time.
And what we're talking about generally before a realtor can transfer a piece of property or list it or sell it, he's got to have the septic system, all the septic system paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
and it's over there, filed away from 1972.
And they do their absolute best to get it as fast as they can.
And if we can get it scanned and get it in the system, all they gotta do is sit in their office and hit the button, and have access to the majority of it. Some of them you just can't find.
Look for it themselves.
Yeah, so let's, okay, top priority on that. And just briefly here, what I was thinking about on these fees, or what I'm going to present, not for action tonight, but discuss with you guys, is just waive environmental health fees, $200,000 to $300,000 a year. No tax increase. Health Department didn't think of this. I argued with them yesterday about it. It's just an idea that some of us has had for a number of years. And we still have to have if you're building a house, you get, your fees are waived. If you're just buying a piece of property out here, you still gotta pay, unless you're gonna build a house on it. We'll adopt, Jackson County has, and they've looked at it, they like Jackson County environmental health fee structure, septic system, on-site wastewater, septic system fee structure. We all on agreement on that. We're gonna have to adopt that. You gotta have a valid contract to build a house, mobile home, single wide, tiny home, industrial, commercial, whatever, before you can have the fee waived. And we'll have to work the details out on some of this. Well fees, we're gonna waive, I'm in favor of raising well fees. When I hear of a
Raising well fees or waiving well?
Waiving well fees, yes. What'd you say, raising?
No, you said, I think.
No, I fought to get them down. We're down to $375. But if you got a local person out here and their well goes kaput and they gotta put a new well on their property, $375. I've argued that for years. Now, on my exit off of this board, I want to fight to make those permanent. You shouldn't have to pay $400 to have a well drilled on your property. You still got to pay $100 for the required water testing that's required by state statute, but $100 is a whole lot better than $375. The biggie, if it was up to me, and we have the authority as a board to do this, if I was going to reward people who are directly investing in Macon County, not only would I waive the environmental health fees, I would waive the building inspection fees. Now that's a biggie. That's $700, take in $750,000 a year in a good year on, and I've not talked to anybody in building inspections, but it's the role of this board to fund and to finance the services of Macon County. It's the agency's role to administer the services and carry it out. And we appreciate you being cognizant of the fact of revenue and financing, but.
Well, and also workload.
Pardon?
Workload. This is, some of the ideas that have been presented might add workload to an already short-staffed section. So, and some of the financial things that have to be considered, Lori probably has some potential red flags for us that, that she could think of. So I'm sure.
And we need to hear those. We need to work with those.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're
So it
talking
sounds like we're going to be listening to this, and then we are going to be living this after you're gone off the board. So we, we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us to.
Well, as I said yesterday, we can structure this where it doesn't increase the workload. That's not what we're up to.
It potentially doesn't increase the workload, but there's
increases,
unintended consequences sometimes to the greatest intentions, and it does increase the workload. So we just have to be careful as we proceed not to do that.
I hope it does increase the workload. I hope there are more businesses and construction going on in Macon County.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, we're very interested in boosting the economy. The economy is directly related to your community's health. As your economy improves in a community, so does your health. And we know that there's that connection. And so this is, considering this is not, a bad thing under public health, because we want everyone's health to be better. So there's a direct connection there. We know that.
As we talked yesterday, there needs to be a little fund established at some point. I'll be long gone before that happens. We occasionally run into an issue where there is a failing septic system that is a direct and imminent threat to the environment and to public health. And these poor folks just have no funds, no way to fix it. And They go back, they issue notice of violation, we turn it over to the attorney. It's just, And we figured yesterday for about $60,000 a year, we could set aside a fund, and if they applied under certain criteria, those worst of the worst threatening, imminent threats could be repaired. So those are things that you'll all get to discuss in my absence, but I hope there's a resolution. These are things that need to be talked about. So any of the board member who wants to talk to me about it next month, I may be bringing up something after I meet with you guys and see where you're at on it. Mr. Shields and I have talked, John and I have talked. And I think it's just a tip of the hat to the people who are investing in Macon County, saying thank you. The state's not doing anything. Everybody complains about construction costs, housing shortages. Nobody's doing anything about it. It's the same old. We have an opportunity to do just a little bit. So thank you for being here. Thank you all for what you do. And we have one guy, Chaz Allen, that looks at every septic system application in Macon County. Jackson County has 8 trained people. They're cross-trained over there. Thank you, Chaz, for what you do. You were up last night. I got a call. Somebody said you called them at 8 o'clock with their permit. We were talking about that. 60 hours a week. It ain't gonna last.
No, he'll burn out.
Your department needs some immediate attention, and best of luck in the future on it. And I thank y'all for what you do, and it's a very vital. Without a septic system application and a septic system permit, nothing happens in the construction industry. So I thank you, and I value what y'all contribute to Macon County.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGahan. Thank you, Ms. Higgins. Anything else? Anything else?
No, you won't do that tonight, or wait to talk about it? Because I've been threatened, I may not be here next month. They're beating me out. I mean, crap.
Let's see, Tammy Keiser, 11D under new business.
Thank you, Chairman Shields. You all have a handout at your spot that looks like this. If you'll look at the side first, that at the top says proposed classification for county manager. If you all will recall, in October of 2021, the board approved the county pay scale following that pay study that was done. At that time, the county manager position was not included in the pay scale, and it has not been historically. So we are proposing that we add the county manager position to the county pay scale. Ms. Carpenter and I have looked at it, and based on the data that we got from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners as to what the average salaries for county managers are, we're proposing that that position be placed at a county grade 52. And you have the minimum starting salary, the midpoint, and the maximum in your handout. Then at the bottom portion of that page, you have the current county pay scale, which is probably smaller than you would like. So I've made it, that's the full pay scale that shows all the grades and the pay. On the back side of that, I've given you a snippet of pay grades 52 through 60 so that you can see how those grades compare. And then the bottom portion of that is the comparison of high-level positions beginning at grade 42 through 60. 60 is the highest pay grade in our current pay scale. And you can see that we only have 3 positions currently in that range from 42 to 60. So our recommendation is that we place the county manager position at a grade 52. So I'll need a action on that, a motion, a second, and a vote, please.
Can I abstain since I'm getting kicked out? Or do I have to vote? Or are you going to vote for me?
If you leave, you'll help us here. He and I are friends enough we can say that, because his vote got counted last time. All right, break that down for me a little bit, that I can make this into.
Yes, so we would like to, Josh, you got it?
I'm just listening, but I do approve. You just need a motion to make a.
I just need a motion to approve placing the county manager position at a grade 52 in the county pay scale.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
So when I Google county manager salary in the state of North Carolina as of October 1, 2024, the average annual pay for a county manager in North Carolina is $81,356 a year. This is all I've put in there. And it says that North Carolina ranks 50th out of the 50 states in the country for salaries for county managers. And some of these salaries go up to like $200,000, $240,000 a year. These county managers they're operating a county with a $400–500 million annual budget. Now, whether this is, I've done a lot of research on salaries for county managers and stuff like that, but that's just, I want somebody to.
Yeah, if you go to the School of Government website, every year they produce the North Carolina County Manager salaries, and it's North Carolina School of Government, and you can go to their annual salary survey, and you can see each county, the higher rate, and what the manager's making. I think the last year they published was 24 or 23.
The last salary study that they published is a couple of years old. They are no longer doing those. There's nobody that's doing those. So we did reach out to the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners to get current salary data, and that data was provided to us by Mr. Horton. It's the same data that the School of Government has. So as we've talked for our recruitment purposes, we're looking at a salary somewhere in the $175,000 to $200,000 range. Placing this position at a grade 52 will be within that range and allow for that.
So we're comparing the county manager's salary to these larger counties with.
No, it's like counties.
Okay.
Any further questions? Thanks, John.
I've got the letter from Jack Horton that lists the amounts. It's got Pennsylvania at 150,000 car available. Scotland County with a population of 34,921 is 139,000 with an allowance. Alexander with a population of 37,497 has a salary of 135,881. Davie County with a population of 43,533 has a manager salary of 175. Jackson County with a population of 44,000 is 154,000. Those are the numbers that Jack Horton gave us through the North Carolina Academy of our Association of County Commissioners.
And what was the date on those?
That was 2022, 2023. Yeah, that was.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
You have lost me. I forgot.
I think we have a motion and a second.
So just need to vote on this.
Is everybody through with the question? Okay, go ahead. Okay, all in favor? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Yes. On the consent agenda, 12 consent agenda, Ms. Keating, I've got you down for I and J.
Yes, sir, we added those 2 items. I emailed out today the proclamation regarding the National Literacy Month, so you all should have had that in your email. And then the fireworks permit has been approved by Fire Marshal Jimmy Team, so we should be good to go.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in agreement, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. All opposed, no sign. I'm just messing with you, Paul.
He need to have that eye surgery again.
That's on this one, yeah. Oh, did you come up? Did you raise it?
Yeah, I went with you on that, Gary.
Well, I keep it to the right. Thanks, sir. All right.
Stop.
Let's see where we at. Anything else, Ms. Keiser?
No, sir.
We have a closed session to discuss.
Last one, Bubba.
Closed session to discuss. I'm gonna come to it.
Jack, want to stay with us? All right. Are you making that into a motion? Motion second.
So motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-15.11A3 to discuss the legal position we taken on septic issue. Everybody knows even what we're talking about.
Do you anticipate action when we return?
I hope so.
Okay.
I like us to do that.
Mr. Siegel, appreciate your work too. I didn't identify you a while ago. There's somebody else I'm missing.
All right, we'll be out here about 10 o'clock if y'all want to hang around.
Okay. All in favor? I guess.
Put your food in my pocket.
Yeah, I'll be filling up.
Oh, remember nachos? Liar.
This is Bobby with Macon Media. I'm going to shut down the live stream, but I will record them when they come back to the session. Thank you all for listening.
He found. He put it on the back of his. Congratulations.
I was about to leave, he said.
Thank you for dropping off. Tomatoes.